Hello, everyone, and welcome to Awaken to Happiness Now. I'm your host, Shefali Burns. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's such a pleasure to do these shows with you and have you with me in my growth and just joy and fun. So today we're going to be talking to Susan Lazar Hart, and we're going to be talking about how to create your best life. And for those of you who don't know Susan, let me tell you a little bit about her. So Susan is a consciousness thought leader, co-founder of Right Relationship for You, and a Access Consciousness facilitator and body class facilitator. She is transforming the way that people around the world view themselves, their relationships, and their bodies. Through Susan's Access and Right Relationship classes, which include telesummits, teleclasses, and live trainings, people gain clarity about what does and doesn't work for them in all areas of life and how to truly be themselves in relationship to everyone and everything. Susan appears on radio shows worldwide as well as in print and online publications. She co-hosts Heart to Heart, a weekly radio show on Blog Talk Radio with her daughter, Kelsey. And she travels all over the world. I was just talking to Susan about that, and she just flew back from Vancouver, I think she said, and she's on her way to Vermont, and then she's going to Amsterdam. I mean, she is all over the world, so we're just so grateful to have her with us today. So welcome to the show, Susan.
Thank you so much for having me, Shefali. And, you know, can I tell you how much I love your title? I was listening while you were talking. Introduce me. Thank you so much. The Awaken to Happiness. Don't you love that? How many people, especially, you know, right now on the planet are walking around glum and sad, and when it actually is like a new birth, a rebirth, an awakening to happiness when they just discover that joy is in everything we do and everything we touch and everywhere. And I love that. So thank you for what you're doing and creating, and thank you for the title.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, and it's so much fun. And you're absolutely right. It is about being happy more and more and more as much as we can, and realizing also that it actually is a choice. And once we realize that happiness is a choice and we are entitled to it, we deserve it, it's our birthright, you know, life just becomes a little bit more joyous, and we find happiness in sometimes the smallest places, you know, sometimes in those places where we didn't expect it to be. And so, you know, it's all about, I mean, as you know, you are an expert in this, but it's all about asking questions, and sometimes about asking different questions than what you've asked before, and being open to receiving new opportunities, new things in your life that you hadn't even thought of.
Absolutely. How much do we refuse happiness every day in every way? One of the biggest ways that I find that people refuse happiness is we fall into judgment. And it's almost like we have our own foot out there tripping ourselves. So we fall into judgment, into limitation, and which actually excludes the happiness that is just right there. The universe is there gifting us all of this joy, all of this happiness. And yeah, really, truly one of the questions I've ever found is, what else is possible? I often will say, so universe, show me something beautiful today. And that alone will just, you know, it could be a flower while I'm walking. It just brings the joy back into whatever glum moment that I thought I was creating that really wasn't true to begin with.
And, you know, that's a good point. Just asking that question, it brings to our awareness that, you know, we can find happiness in the little moments. You know, we can find happiness every day in our everyday lives. It doesn't have to be something spectacular as going on a vacation and, you know, seeing a beautiful beach, right? We can have happiness every day where we are right now. It doesn't have to start when we're on vacation somewhere. We may lose Susan from time to time because she's she's driving through a storm. So she'll come in and out depending on her connection. But I don't think she'll be gone too far. But that's one of the things that Susan is really good about, is asking the questions and being open to the awareness of what she receives. And sometimes, you know, I'll be honest, I have a hard time knowing what questions to ask. So I know I've said this before, and it, you know, I still don't ask a lot of questions, right? And I always challenge myself, you know, what can I ask today that is going to be for my highest good? What can I ask today that I require, for my body and being, or sometimes in business, what is my business requiring of me today?
Well, hi, I'm back.
Okay,
good. One of the things that I'd love for people to play with is, what if there was no such thing as the highest good? See, already we're in judgment.
Yes, that's right.
What if it was the willingness to actually be the question instead of worrying about what question to ask? See, again, in question, there's no judgment. Happiness, there's no judgment. There's no limitation. Once we start dividing things into, well, I can be happy here and I can't be happy there, or this would bring me to my highest whatever, we're already excluding everything the universe is willing to just be with us and gift us.
Yeah, good point.
So, yeah, and I find people tend to exclude themselves when they start to limit themselves into a corner of what if I choose this, if I ask this question, will this give me what I'm asking for? Mm-hmm. What if it was just the willingness to be totally present? And what if you were, what if people were actually willing to step into being curious? So that when we ask a question, when we be the question, we're not looking for an answer. We're asking for an awareness.
Right.
And would you be willing to acknowledge every awareness that comes in? And surely that brings us the most happiness, the joy. If people would be willing, like one of my challenges for your listening audience today would be, would you be willing to acknowledge, would you be willing to acknowledge you? Would you be willing to acknowledge that you are different? Would you be willing to acknowledge that you are asking for more? What are 3 things that you could acknowledge about yourself before you go to sleep? Get a little journal, put it down. Just acknowledge that. I often just acknowledge that I get up in the morning. Like, for me. It's for me. Every morning I get up early, I go for a walk.
So this is not about being grateful, but it's about an awareness, right? This is slightly different.
Well,
which is a good point, because we're so used to finding certain things to be grateful for every day. I do that, just so that I can stay in that state of gratitude. But then even that, when I'm just searching for gratitude and being grateful for something, I think even that is kind of limiting the possibilities. So
what if there was no search?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, what if there was no search? That's what I'm saying. It's not like there's no destination point in consciousness. There's no destination point in happiness. There's no destination point in gratitude. What if it was the willingness to just be with everything, with no judgment, with no limitation, and receive? And it's kind of like, so wow, look at that. I'm grateful that I didn't pee in my bed today. I got out of bed and went to the toilet. I'm grateful for the sunrise. So you sound like how brilliant you are. How brilliant this planet is. And what is the one thing today that you could change?
Okay, so I think she was talking about how brilliant we are, and we don't realize how brilliant we are, and we forget, how brilliant, awesome beings that we are in consciousness. She'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a reminder that we actually need more and more, because once we realize that we are brilliant and how brilliant we are, there is actually nothing that we cannot conceive of. There's not actually, I think anyway, there's nothing that we cannot do. There's nothing that we cannot aspire to. Like whatever we want to create, we can create because we are brilliant in that way.
Well, all you have to do is look at little children, and they're just resilient in their joy, in their happiness, in their brilliance. They're not looking for a reason why or justification. Just being them, the brilliance of them.
Yeah.
That's the best. Like, get better than that. What if there was the best? What if it was like, wow, how does it get any better than that?
That's a new one. I haven't heard that yet. That's a good one.
I know. I just made it up.
Yeah, that was good.
Like I just watched, and my dog came. She's sitting into me and saying, "Hey, Mom, how's it going?" And just acknowledgement of just the symbiosis between the two of us, just in her coming up and saying, "Hey, I've missed you. How have you been? I'm going to now acknowledge that this creature on the planet that is willing to gift to me just by being her, just by coming up." And that's what I'm talking about, acknowledging. Like, let's acknowledge little things. Let's acknowledge the things that people take for granted. Let's acknowledge who we be and that we are living, breathing proof that consciousness is here, that consciousness is asking to have our back, that consciousness is not exclusionary. What if we just began with that? What would that look like?
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah, and we don't do that enough. We definitely don't acknowledge ourselves. That's for sure. Sometimes we may acknowledge other things in our lives, but we definitely do not acknowledge ourselves. We discount ourselves all the time. So how can we change that, Susan?
Well, you start where you are. So just right now. So, what else is possible here that I haven't been willing to be or see? When you get up in the morning, say, so, all right, universe, what energy, space, and consciousness, because we're energy, we're space, and we're consciousness. What energy, space, and consciousness can I be to receive from the universe, the gifts of the universe and the gifts of the planet? And I often ask the planet, take whatever it is that you require from me today, and what can I contribute to you? Because a lot of this has to do with the contribution of who we are. The symbiosis of contribution, of gifting and receiving, the willingness to, instead of going over or not acknowledging, what if we start? I always say, start where you are. Start where you are. Rather than going backwards, start where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's one knowledge today? That is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Start where you are and don't beat yourself up for where you're not, by looking at the past or even by looking at the future. Don't beat yourself up. Just acknowledge where you are and who you are right now.
Well, and when you say don't beat yourself up, who do you buy that from? Like who did you buy that from, that beating yourself up is a reward? Go just ask, does that really feel like you? Is that you? Is that really you? No, it's not yours. It never was.
No.
It's like everywhere we're mimicking what we think we're supposed to be like. But, has anybody said to you, just curious for your own good?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or I'm the only one that loves you enough to tell you what's wrong with you. That's light. That's not expansive. That doesn't create awareness. And you can even, a wonderful thing right there, start letting go. It doesn't belong to you. Like, who said that to you in your life? Let it go. Don't beat yourself up about beating yourself up. Let it go. And ask something better to show up. Something better to show. Yeah.
It's interesting how...
It's a different way of being.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting how we have the choice and the opportunity to be a different way instead of always thinking and feeling the way we've always thought and felt in the past, right? We have a choice of being different, of just being ourselves. We totally do.
And I love the way that, yes, we have choice. That's who we be. We are choice action. We have the capacity to change. We've seen it with our bodies. We can go in and change the molecular structure of our bodies. We have the possibilities of changing anything. You have to actually choose. So when you talked before about beating yourself up, you actually have to choose for something greater to show up. Today, I'm making the demand that I am choosing for more for me.
Yeah.
Windows and doors of possibilities can I open up today that I refuse to open up? It's just that when you're in a musty house, or you just open all the windows up and fresh air comes in. It's what window and door can I open up today that will change everything I'm holding on to right away.
Wow, that's a good one. That's totally a different way of looking at things. I like that.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you were talking about awakening to happiness, well, what if there was nothing wrong? Mm-hmm. What if there's never anything wrong? Who would you be? What would you be? What could you create? What possibilities would be there for you? And it's just letting go of everything that, some people call it negative self-talk. Some people call it whatever it is. Let it go. It's not yours. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to buy it as true and real. It doesn't work for you. You actually, what would it create a life that you send out to ask to work for you?
Can you say that again for a second?
Yeah. We're all molecules, yeah? Mm-hmm. We're all moving molecules. We've got the universe, the quantum entanglements. We know all about the string theory. We're moving molecules, so we're not stagnant. There's not one bit or particle of us that's stagnant. So what if we actually went out and started asking everything we're created to contribute to work for me? So I'm asking my life to go out and work for me. I ask my business to go out and work for me. Business, what is it that you could go out and bring back in? I ask my money flows to work for me. So it's the willingness to receive the contribution of my business, of my money flows, of my body, of my relationships. Go out and ask your relationship to work. We have a point of view that we have to work for our relationships. We have to work for our business. We have a point of view we have to work for our body, for our money flows. Well, that's not actually any way in which you can't create from that, right? It's this, again, the symbiosis of gifting and receiving. What contribution can I be today that changes my money flows, my business, my body, just right away? It's always the willingness in question. And anything that doesn't that, let it. It's not yours to begin with.
And a lot of people, talk about letting stuff go, and it's great when we're going through a good period. It's like, yeah, I can let that go. But how about when you're really stuck in the emotional trauma and drama, and you're like, I can't let this go. It's like there's I was talking to somebody last night, and it's like all the old emotional trauma and drama that I thought I'd dealt with and I thought I'd let it go, it still came up, and it's like, oh, shit. I'm letting it go.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great, and so the question, that's absolutely, the question that I would ask is, who does that belong to? Mm-hmm. Is that yours, somebody else's, or something else? Like, who does that belong to? The I can't let it go. Who does that belong to? Who in your family had, bought into emotional turmoil as the drama and trauma of life's existence?
Everybody in my family. Oh yeah.
There you go. So everything that is, yes, exactly. And you see how funny that is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like that joy of awareness. Oh my God, it's not mine. It's everybody in my family. So would you be willing to return it to sender with consciousness?
Yes.
Yeah. And anything that doesn't allow it, let it go. It's not yours to begin with. So it's the willingness. We often talk about, you'll hear me say that many times over, it's the willingness to actually let it go. You have to be willing to ask for something greater. Most people are really satisfied with the reward of not being joyful. Most people are actually satisfied by being successfully dramatic and traumatic. That they know I know who I am if I'm being dramatic. I know who I am if I hold on to my stuff. Yeah. Well, would you be willing to not know who you are? Again, we often play with, if it's light, it's right. If it's heavy, it's a lie. And light, if it's light, it has to do with the expansiveness of who you be, what you be, and the choices that you make. That place that you are when you're like, oh, this feels just so expansive. This is fun. This is joyous. Like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
So tap into that. Tap into a place where, awaken to happiness. Tap into a place where you've actually awoken to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay, now expand that out. Expand that out more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's who you be. So anything that doesn't match that, it's not yours. So it's just not yours. So let it go, return it to center with consciousness, and have the people on your calls been using the access clearing statement at all?
I don't think we've had anybody recently. No, not this season. I think you're the first one this season.
Well, if you're interested, you can always clear it completely with what we call the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. As you know, I'm an Access Consciousness Facilitator. And that's basically going to everywhere that we've made a decision that something is good or bad or right or wrong, because those are all judgments as well. And all those layers in which we've bought into anything that has made this so real and true that you're sure it's yours. This is so heavy, it's got to be my shit. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't? What if you're just mimicking somebody else? And you can always play with the access clearing statement when you have that awareness, return it to sender. And if you want to read up more about it, you can go to theaccessconsciousness.com or to writerelationshipforyou.com, where I talk about the access clearing statement in regard to relationships. And it's really just going in and saying, okay, everything that I've ever bought is really true. Uncreate and destroy that. All the good, the bad, right and wrong, pod and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds, having to do with point of creation, the point of destruction, and anywhere we put ourselves into a beyond. Because truly, how many of us put ourselves into a beyond when we buy anything is real or true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if it doesn't work for you, let it go.
Exactly, and that's what I always say too, is like, okay, if your life is not working the way you want it to work right now, then whatever is holding you back from that, let it go, because it's stopping you from really truly being all of who you are and creating the life that you desire. It's just hard sometimes for people to let that stuff go, because they're tied to it. They're emotionally tied to it. They're sometimes physically tied to certain people or situations. And they're like, if I hold on to it, it's a piece of me, and letting go of stuff is like you're losing a piece of yourself. But then, it comes down to, okay,
really?
Are you? I know.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Really? Are you listening to yourself right now?
Oh, I'm just saying stuff that other people think. Yeah.
But again, do you see how it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you see? Here's a little game people can play. What if you let go of reminding yourself? You see, every time we go through this big list of what it is and how terrible it is and what people do, we're actually bringing that energy back in.
Mm. Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of like, at one point I created heavy metal poisoning. I was a painter for about 30 years, and I was in the gallery systems and in architectural magazines, and I created heavy metal poisoning. And then that's how I got into a lot of the work that I do with access energy, with the consciousness, with the body work, because I knew there was a different way of being in this reality and with my body, and I knew that we could shift and change everything by choice. So having played with that, it was the willingness to actually let it go. And I can remember being at something recently, and somebody said to me, "How are you?" And I said, "Great." No, but how are you? How are you? Meaning you were very sick. How are you? And I just looked at them and I went, "Shh, my body's listening." Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What's the value of going backwards? What's the value of holding on to what doesn't work? Again, it's the willingness to get. What if you gave everything a job to go out and work for you? What would that be like? How much more could you be doing? It
feels freeing. It's very freeing. It feels like total freedom. If I it's like then I would have more space, more time, more energy, more everything.
Yeah, and would you? Isn't that actually what you came here to be?
Yeah.
Like we actually chose to come to this planet. So isn't that what we chose? I can't even say it. I'm so thrilled by it. I'm so happy saying it. Like we chose to come here. So why not be that choice?
Yeah.
Why not be that joy? Why not be that happiness? You know, and anything that you're holding on to is holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
Any limitation you buy is limiting you. Any judgment that you buy as real and true just creates that density, that lie, that heaviness, that you're not good enough, that you're not bright enough, that you're not brilliant enough. So you hold on to that for what reason?
Man, I should talk to you every day.
Truly. Well, truly, what else is possible? And that's one of the questions I love to be in.
Yeah.
It's like we were just, you know, so you and I were just talking, Shefali. You know, I was in a rainstorm. I was saying to Ricky, I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be on this telecall, and I'm in the car on the highway in the rain." And how does it get any better than that? Here we are. We're having this amazing conversation on your wonderful show, and because I'm not going to buy that that's my reality. Like there's something else is always possible. So rather than canceling it or worrying about it, it's like, okay, universe, I know you've got my back. What else is possible here?
Right. Yeah. And now the connection is so much clearer. It's perfect. You know, it's like we're having a wonderful conversation and we're learning. And I'm bringing up my stuff to be cleared and worked on. So it's like it's fantastic. You know, that's why I'm saying I should talk to you every day. You know.
We could do that. That would be fun.
I know, exactly. This is
my
great.
pleasure.
So I want to talk about, you know, about the money flows. We talked briefly about the money flows. You mentioned it really briefly about having the money flows work for you. How does that work exactly, you know, for the people listening on the call? Because, you know, we have some listeners who are challenged with money sometimes, you know, a lack of flow. And they would like more.
Well, here's where you start. Again, would you be willing to have gratitude for everything you're creating? So, for instance, when I pay a bill, you know, let's say I'm paying my light bill or my car bill, whatever it is. Every time I put money out, every time I pay a bill, I ask it to come back to me tenfold. So I have, you know, I have a business and I have checks with my business name on it. And my accountant was laughing when she first came into my office because it's a blue binder with on the one is just an insert and the other where the checks are. And in the insert, I have $1 in every country that I've ever worked in. And she looked at me and she said, "You've got all this," and you know, it could be $10, could be $100. It's just there tucked in. And she said, she laughed. She said, "Do you realize you have all this money right here?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I want the money to talk to the check. So when I write a check, I want the money to let the check know that there's more coming in." Yeah. And that's the willingness to actually, you know, people have a point of view when they hear flow about it outflowing, right? Well, what if you could have inflowing money? What if you could ask your bank account to double and triple itself in the next 5 years? Start asking. What if for everything that came in, you put 10% away? Whether it's a dime, whether it's $1, whether it's $100. And you put it away, and I actually, when I first started this was an idea from Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. I put it away in an envelope, and on the envelope I put honoring to me. So every time I generated $1, $5, $7, I would put 70 cents in. Didn't matter how much, that I knew that I was honoring me with every 10% that I put away. And so now that money is talking to me. You know, years ago, when gold was at 600, I went out and bought 2 gold coins at 600 a piece from my 10%. Now those gold coins are worth, I don't know, $1,600 now?
Yeah.
So that's money talking to you. That's telling. I bought those gold coins, and I said, okay, now go out and you know, go out and replicate. Go out and make me money. So now I'm walking around with $3,600 in my pocket from. I think I bought 3 gold coins at different times. So I know no matter how crappy my day is, no matter how terrible I think I am at my work that I'm doing, I can go to that envelope. I can go to those gold coins and know that that's just 10% of what my capacity is. Do you get the energy of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the willingness to ask your money to contribute and work for you. And the other thing too is how many people, so here's a wonderful thing. I love to give home play. So everybody listening, you know, after the call, write down exactly how much your outflow is in that month. And then write down how much your inflow is. And I bet you, for most people, they're generating exactly the amount that they require. Well, that's not asking your money to work for you. Money follows joy. Money loves joy. Money loves happiness. So the more joy-filled you are with what you're creating, what you're playing with, the more money will be coming to you. And it might look totally different, in a totally different way. And what else is possible?
Interesting. Now, Susan, what about, you know, those people, like you said, you know, they don't even have 10% to put away because they're not even making it. They're not even making enough to get by each month. You know, they're going into debt every month, deeper and deeper. What do you say to people in that situation?
Begin.
Just begin anywhere, right?
I always say. Begin. You see, anytime you're holding yourself back by what you were, you're going to be holding yourself back by what you were. It's kind of like, how big do you want your anchor? You know, you know, so begin. What could I begin with today? What are 3 viable streams of income that I can start to play with right now? That would be my challenge. What are 3 other viable streams of income that you can create with? What does it look like for you? Again, it might be totally different than what you thought.
Right. And that's a good point too.
If you're not willing to ask the universe to contribute to you, how much are you actually willing to receive? What have you decided receiving looks like? Like, how many of us actually, okay, again, another thing to play with. Every night before I go to bed, I say, pot and pock, you know, part of the access clearing statement, pot and pock, everywhere I've been refusing money today. And pot and pock is just going to the point of creation where you bought it is real and true, that you can't generate money or that you're refusing money. And pot is where you've decided and bought it as the point of destruction. So anywhere that I've been refusing money today, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to uncreate and destroy it and just let it go. So more can show up tomorrow.
I like that one too.
How many people were brought up in a household where money was deliciously talked about?
Deliciously talked about? Not very many, yeah.
Exactly. So you kind of get when I say just begin? Yeah. What if you were the first person in your family, in your neighborhood, in your town, in your city, in your country that talked about money? Money is the grease that this reality plays with. So in order for food, to have clothing on your body, what if money was just something to play with, not a means to an end? See, everywhere you make it so, it will be so. If you make money as a desperate means to an end, then that's what it will be. What if you ask your money to play for you? Go out and play for you. What would that look like?
It feels very joyful.
It's the willingness to receive. Ask and you shall receive. I think that's in the Bible.
It is. Yeah. It is, but we still don't ask. I mean, I'm number one in that category. You know, I still don't ask, you know, and I don't receive very well either. You know, I was at my dad's today. I had to go over and turn on his dishwasher since he doesn't know how. And he said, "Oh, I have some Indian food from the restaurant. Do you want it?" It's like, "Oh, no, it's okay." I should have just said, "Oh, okay, great, thank you," you know, and taken it home. You know, I should have just accepted it, received it, and brought it home. You know, instead of automatically saying no, because that is, you know, a small example, but still an example of not receiving.
Exactly. It's just, what is it that you could change and shift today that you haven't been willing to change? Just like that.
And then being aware of those little things that happened throughout the day of where you didn't receive, and then, you know, next time you'll be more aware, and you won't say no. You'll say, "Okay, yes, thank you." And then once you do that, more and more different opportunities come up for receiving. Am I right?
Well, it's the willingness. I keep saying that. It's the willingness to be present. It's the willingness to ask for more. It's not about coming to a conclusion that if I do this, then that will happen. It's just the willingness to say, I wonder if, what could I play with today that would add to my life and my living and change my money flows right away? That's a great question to ask.
I like that. Yeah. And I definitely like the playing with, you know, that's a lot lighter than what can I do or what can I work with or what can I, you know, change. You know, I like the playing with, and it's so much lighter and much easier. You know, it's ease. There's so much more ease with that statement.
Exactly. And that's, wait, I'm just shifting phones. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. So, Shefali, I just shifted phones.
Okay, yep.
Here we are.
There you are.
Okay. How's that?
Perfect, yes. So I take it you're now in Vermont.
Yay. Yep, I just shifted off myself. Yay. That's getting better than that. Cool.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, what was I going to say? I forgot, it's gone. But it's like, it's about being more playful, being at more ease, and doing what brings you joy on a daily basis, and asking those questions of what will bring you joy. You know, it's like, I think what you asked a really wonderful question. Of course, I wrote down half of it, and then it's like, oh, I'll listen to the replay to get the rest. But it was a really good question, you know, about being playful and receiving and being open to, you know, joy in our lives every day. You know, joy in our business, joy in our relationships. So let's talk a little bit about relationships too, because, you know, in this society, you know, we've always been taught to work at our relationship. You know, a relationship is work. You have to work at it to make it work. I keep saying that word, work. It's like, yeah, I don't think a relationship, if it's you know, a relationship that you enjoy, should be a lot of work. It should be fun and playful and light.
Well, and what if so, okay, I'm going to tweak this again as I do. What if
take out the word should?
What if, you know what, we often say awareness isn't always comfortable. With more awareness comes more awareness. We have a point of view about relationship that it's supposed to be a certain way. Well, what if relationship was true communion, and in true communion you have true discovery? And what would that be like? To step into the intensity of discovery of you as you discover someone else. So that, yes, you have that play, you have that joy, and you also have the intensity of awareness that comes through. That, to me, that's where the growth in a relationship really starts to show itself. If people are actually willing to contribute to their own awareness of who they be, what they be, and how they be, and how does that interplay when you then create something with someone else. So often people choose to lose themselves or to give themselves up rather than stepping into who they truly be without an apology.
So you are a great example of that. So can we talk just a little bit about you and your relationship, because you are, you know, quite different in relationship than the average person, I would say. And, you know, I talk about my relationship a little bit on these calls too, but, you know, my relationship is very open, you know, very expansive and very light and very, you know, just be who you are, right? And just accept who you are, accept who the other person is, and enjoy, you know, each other and the relationship that you're in. But there's more to it than that. So do you want to talk a little bit about relationships?
Well, it's really about being present with you, no matter what that looks like. No matter, it's being present with you. So if you're willing to be present with you, then you don't turn on the other person. You have no expectation of the other person. You're willing to create for you and with you and be the invitation for more for anybody that chooses to come and play with you. And that's the key.
Well, I like that about
in here. I told him not to make any noise. Yeah, that's the key. And yeah, I mean, Rick and I have been together for about over 40 years now. And it was really interesting. Those of you who receive my blogs, I think I wrote about that a while ago. Just the awareness of how much I've shifted and changed, how much he's shifted and changed. Has it been all, you know, light and playful and joyful? No. What it has been is this amazing journey of discovery in which we've been in communion, and what brings that communion is the honoring of each other, the trusting that I can trust no matter what he's choosing for him, and it's not going to exclude me. I can honor who he is and what he is and where he chooses to come from and play with. Do I have to choose it all the time? Absolutely not. That's where people fall into, they misidentify and misapply that as a couple they're supposed to do everything together and it has to be all joyful and happy and playful. Well, certainly I'm not suggesting you be in a relationship that doesn't have those qualities. And it's also the willingness to ask, now what else is possible here? Now what else is possible here? And we're always asking that. And certainly when we do get together, yes, I'm grateful. There's gratitude. True intimacy is honor, trust, gratitude, allowance, vulnerability. We're intimate with each other. I'm totally grateful for whatever he chooses. And I'm grateful for what he brings to my life. And I'm vulnerable enough to say, you know, this isn't working for me. So it's the willingness to lower your barriers. And, you know, when we talk about happiness, that's the joy of being you when you're in relationship with someone else. Because relationship, by its definition, is the distance between 2 points. Where I'm asking for something greater than that to show up in relationship. And actually, that's where, you know, we have these amazing classes we've been facilitating. I've just been on a European tour with Right Relationship for You called New Beginnings. And basically, it's what if you could create a new, without going into the past, without going backwards. What is there for you that you could be playing with and creating with that you haven't been willing to be or see before? And would you be willing to step into that? And what kind of relationship could that create? And if anybody's interested, you can go to www.rightrelationshipforyou and check out New Beginnings on our website. I'm invited to India to facilitate these courses in September, and then coming back to Connecticut. And what else is possible? I think I'll be in Australia in December. And I'm just so thrilled by the changes that people are willing to step into, and just how much we're actually shifting and changing relationships on the planet. It's very exciting, very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, and it really is about people are choosing for themselves, you know, which is so empowering and so wonderful for everybody, because the more that people choose for themselves and what is right for them, then they'll be an example for others who may still be in fear of that choice, right? Of choosing for themselves. They're not used to it. They haven't seen anybody do it, you know, so they don't know what that's like. But the more and more people that start doing that, start choosing for themselves, I just think it's fantastic.
And to just take that a little step forward, it's not. People have a point of view that choosing for themselves is choosing against someone else. It's not. What if you could actually choose for you and include everyone instead of choosing against? People often make choices against other people and think that that's choosing for them. Well, what if you didn't have to defend your choice? What if you weren't choosing against someone? You actually were choosing for you and the greatness of you and what else is truly possible in every relationship. I mean, can you imagine how much more fun that would be with your body, with sex, and again, I say with your money flows, because everything informs everything. You know, you can't be joyful with your body and not joyful with your money flows. You can't be joyful in one area of your life and not in the other. It's truly, we live in the symbiosis of receiving and gifting, and so it's the willingness to receive the information and then ask, okay, so now what else is possible? What would it take to change this if it's not working for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And acknowledge it.
And you know, I like what you said right now about the symbiotic relationship between the different areas of your life, because you know, I have said in the past on my shows that you know, some areas of my life are fantastic, lovely, great, wonderful, and then there's other areas that are not so much. I have said that, you know, and it's funny now because you know, you're basically saying that all of these different areas, they are connected, right? So if
that's right.
if I'm not comfortable with my body, you know, with sex and all that wonderful stuff, then it's possible that that also translates into relationships or money or business or, you know, other areas of my life. I didn't know that before a couple of years ago, you know, and I'll be honest, I'm not that comfortable with my body. I never have been, you know, and because of the...
I might ask, is that yours? Was there anybody in your family that wasn't comfortable with their body?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Were you raised in a culture that perhaps was not comfortable with bodies?
Of course, yes, I was.
There you go. So that's where that, you know, that question we began with is, who does this belong to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of hearing ourselves recite, I'm not comfortable with this or I'm not comfortable with that, we could ask a question like, so I wonder, because I love that. I wonder. So what would it take for comfort to show up here? What would it take for an awareness? So is this mine or somebody else's? Who am I mimicking here with the way that I've been with my body? See, it's not okay for me for people to just sit with, this doesn't work for me. Because if it doesn't work for you, let's change it. Let's ask some questions. Let's see what else is possible. Let's listen to the awarenesses that are pouring through from the universe that's actually gifting you with the information that you require. Like, what could we generate together that would actually change you not being comfortable with your body or you not being comfortable with your money flows? What else is possible here that we haven't been willing to be or see? It's a question I ask myself every day. What else is possible here that I haven't been willing to be or see? And it's amazing the awarenesses that come through.
Yeah, because just, you know, even when you said it's that yours or somebody else, and it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. It's not mine. It's like, whatever. And all this time, I thought it was mine. You know, I thought it was because I was sexually abused. It was mine, and whatever. You know, all that whole story.
No, not yours.
Yeah.
And how many abusers, how many sexual abusers are actually comfortable with their bodies? None.
Wow.
So how much do people who are abused pick that judgment up out of their abusers' heads and buy it as if it was theirs?
Right. Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So you're holding on to somebody else's judgment for what reason? Would you be willing to let it go?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just that. You know what? You could. There's people that have been abused at a very young age, and they're adults walking around not feeling like uncomfortable with sexualness, uncomfortable with their bodies. Well, they've never stopped to ask, is that their judgment or their abuser's judgment? You know, what age did you buy into your abuser's judgment? And in trying to heal your abuser, you actually bought it as true and real as yours.
Wow, and you know, so many people do that. It's like I'm getting just this awareness of it, like, oh my goodness, like so much is opening up in my space, you know, as we're doing this, and it's like,
yep. And everything that is, all of that, would you be willing to just let it go?
Yes.
Not yours. Not your judgment is never yours. Here's a little secret for everybody listening. Judgment is never yours. It's a creation that we've used in order to anchor ourselves down into this reality. Judgment is not yours. There's a huge difference between awareness and judgment. Awareness opens up possibilities. It enlightens. It shows you a different way of being. There's choice and change in awareness. Judgment is a limitation. It shuts down all windows of possibilities. It locks you down a black hole. That's all that judgment does. It anchors you into a black hole, not yours. So all the black holes that everybody's bought into that's theirs, who's on the call right now, would you be willing to let it go, please? Woo!
Yes.
Yeah. And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, that lightness, that space of who you truly be, would you let that go, please? Story not great.
Yes.
Everywhere you bought it is true or real. Yeah. Let it go. Yay. Good and bad, right and wrong, fun talk, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What an amazing call. Thank you, Shefali.
Yeah, I guess, you know, sometimes I wonder what's gonna happen in the call and what's gonna come up out of my mouth. It's like what's gonna come up. We'll just see. But yeah, that was good. That was I'm still, you know, clearing, releasing. Something is happening in my energy field, you know. So I'm still.
Yep.
I need to drink my Coke a little bit.
And that's the thing. Thank you for saying it that way, because people have a point of view and they talk about energy field as if it's defined. It's actually the energetic connections that are connecting to connections to connections to connections to connections to connections to connections. It's infinite. We're infinite beings. And people have a point of view that they have a field of energy. Well, you actually have awarenesses that you call a field of energy, and energy just is. I mean, can you reach out and just hold on to space? No.
No.
No. Energy does not exclude anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if people actually, can you imagine if we were raised with these tools as little children to connect to the energetic field, the awarenesses, the contribution of the universe, the willingness to choose and to acknowledge and to just the gratitude for just being? Wow. I see that in my little grand being. He's about a year old, and it's just the joy and the way that his parents are with him of just being in choice. Choice creates awareness. Awareness creates possibilities. Possibilities create contribution.
And you know,
what choice can I be today? Yeah.
I was just going to say, Susan, one of the things that, and it drives my daughter crazy, because I always tell her, you know, she asks me a question, I say, well, you know, it's your choice. What do you want? You know, like, what's your choice? Well, Mom, tell me. It's like, no, you choose whatever you want. It's fine. You know, like, just choose. She goes, you are so weird. I said, well, based on your choice, then we'll see what happens, you know. But if that's what you choose, then these are, you know, these are some of the things that are possible, and just ask, you know. It's like, what else is possible? Like, what do I really want? And people don't ask that question very often. What do I really want? What do I really desire in this lifetime? You know, they just keep doing what everybody else has done. You know, their role models, their examples, their family, their friends. They do what they've done, and they don't question themselves. What you know, what's good for me? What brings me joy? What's going to bring me happiness? What, you know, like, what is expansive for me? And my daughter finds me crazy because I just say, well, what do you want? You know, it's up to you. You choose. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You choose. You're old enough. You can figure it out. And it's not about the figuring out, but just giving them that choice and that possibility to be themselves. She doesn't have to be me. She doesn't have to be like everybody else in my family. She doesn't have to be like her friends. She can be who she is. And it's a different way of being, you know, for her. You know, she's like, you are so weird. I say, yeah, I know. So, yeah, I know. But it's that choice, giving people that choice, and it's wonderful that we can start. I mean, I wish I would have started with her even earlier, and my son even earlier, but I didn't have all of the awarenesses then that I have now, right? And but they're different than my nieces and nephews. You know, they're totally different. You know, and what they choose is different. And I keep telling them, do what feels right to you. You know, what feels joyful and expansive. Choose that. And everybody else, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. You just choose what's right for you. And I know, you know, right for you meaning, you know, what brings you joy and what's expansive and light. You know, not doing something out of obligation, right? Grandpa wants me to do this. So yeah, well, do you want to do this? You know, and it's a different way of asking and being and giving them that choice and opportunity, which I don't think a lot of people still do right now with children.
Choice creates awareness. Choice is just for 10 seconds.
So have you started like a right relationship for kids kind of program as well, Susan? I just thought of that right now.
No, that's a great idea. It's something actually we were talking about. You know, we have different facilitators that are joining Right Relationship for You. They go through the facilitators training, and I would encourage anybody who has is thinking of playing in that field to just connect with me. And would you be interested in playing with these tools with Right Relationship for You with your kids? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like how everybody says, the kids are the future, and the kids now are different than in our generation, and the kids that are growing up, are toddlers, like your grandson or granddaughter. They're coming in with more awarenesses, right? And they are more aware, more perceptive, and more just,
Well,
just
what if
like.
there's no such thing as age?
Mm.
Like when people say that, that's their future, well, everywhere that you've given up on you being the future. Like, what if you, just by being you, is the future that you've been asking for? What is it that you're willing to shift and change? What can you choose today? Because if you're not willing to shift and change and choose, it doesn't matter what you're playing with your kids with, they will see the expansiveness of you or the contraction of you. So that choice is really 10 seconds. Go to the energy of what you'd like to create. Instead of asking children what they want to create, go to the energy of what you'd like to create. Go out 5 years from now. Everyone on this call, go out 5 years from now. Get the energy of what you'd like to create. Now bring it into the present and allow it to begin to inform you. Because by what you choose, how you choose, and who you choose to be, that will be the direction that will inform the next generation and the next generation. Choice creates awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes though, people are they have questions about is this what I want? Is this going to be right for me? So they're already jumping to.
Go to the energy. Go to the energy. Go to the energy of who you be. Expand out. Tap into that energy. Now, what is now? Ask a question from there. See, if you ask a question from a contracted place, is this going to be right? Who am I going to be? Is this going to be right? That's exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So go expand out into who you be. Tap into that time, that place where you've been fully you, whether it's skiing down a mountain, lying in the sun. Tap into that. Go out 5 years from now. What is it that you'd like to create? What would you like to see on the planet? Where do you see? Get the energy of what is possible for you. Bring it into the present, and then ask that to inform you. So what's one small step that I could take today that would move towards that future that I'm asking for right away? You don't have to know what it is. You have to actually be willing to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, so be willing to ask. So expand out into, the totality of who you truly be, and then ask, what does my future look like in 5 years? And then, I just
you don't want to ask what it's going to look like in 5 years. Because if you ask what something's going to look like in 5 years, then that's what you've decided your future is. What I'm asking people to do is go to the energy of that.
Okay, yeah.
Because everything shifts and changes. Why would you be willing to be an allowance of however it's going to look like, whatever it's going to take, and then allow that to inform you? Because you don't want, it's not about asking. When we use the word want, it actually means to lack.
Yeah.
So you're not asking for what you lack. You're asking for what else is possible.
Interesting.
And that is a way to live your bestest life.
In all areas. Because they're all interconnected.
That's right. It's funny because one of the things that I've been playing with, I'm actually starting a tele-class in July, about how do we actually use these tools, the tools that you and I have just been talking about. How do we use these tools to create and generate something extraordinary, a phenomenal life? And it's I'm very thrilled about it. It's a 4-part telecall that I'm giving, and it's 2 nights and then stop, and then 2 nights, because I know everybody's busy in the summer. So this just gives them, it's a full-on just yummy, and it's been asked. When I was in Europe, people were asking for it in their time zone, so I'm actually giving it on 2 days. And each day is going to be twice, one for European time zone and one for a North American time zone. So I'm very thrilled about it, and it's actually called Putting the Access Tools into Action. And it's how to access the tools that you and I are talking about right now, living in the question, what else is possible, how to increase your money flows, asking things to work for you, and just on a day-to-day, just like you're saying, what would it take for this to inform me? So I'm actually really thrilled about it, because just by you and I having this kind of conversation actually informs the kind of telecall that we're going to be creating. So I invite everybody to come and join us, and they can find that on rightrelationshipforyou.com, or actually Susan at accessconsciousness.com. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yay. And yeah, there's so many. Is this the You and Success live call that's happening in July, or is that a different call?
Pardon me?
Is that the You and Success live call, or is that a different call?
No, it's a different one. It's Putting the Access Tools into Action. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And that's the thing. Sometimes, we know that there are quite a few tools in Access that we can use in our daily lives, but sometimes we don't know how to use them.
Exactly.
Most effectively, or like in the appropriate situations, or other situations that we hadn't thought of. So no, that's that's good. You might see me on that call if it's live and it's not the same time as my shows. You might see me on the call. Otherwise, I'll have to listen to the
how would we get so lucky?
Absolutely, and I just love being an example, for the speakers on my show, so that we can talk about stuff that the audience is going through, right? And I can just be a guinea pig and be totally vulnerable and just share whatever needs to be shared, and then go with it and see what happens, right? It's like, yeah, that's fun. I can do that. So Susan does have a live call coming up in July as well, which is part of her package. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
Well, I'll talk about it a little. You could probably talk about it more because it's right in front of you. I just, as I say, come in from the rain. What I'm aware of is when Shefali, when you invited me on this wonderful show, I wanted to create something special for people. So we've included some live calls that I have done on Ask Susan. And what we'd like to do is invite the listeners to come and join us, come and play with us on Ask Susan. And that's part of the package is, yes, you're going to be getting these amazing classes that I have done on success with body, success with your money flows, and with relationships. And I would invite you to be our guest on Ask Susan, which is the second Tuesday of every month, and it's a special call, a telecall that's been going on for 5 years. So we have a community of people around the world that come on in, and we have different themes. I'm not sure what the theme is for July, and you receive a download of the class, you receive the recordings, the loop, and written recordings, so that you can see it. I'm a learner. I like to hear, read, see, taste, touch. So for my gang on Ask Susan, I give it to you everywhere that you can get, because I love for you to play with these tools. So yeah, that's the live call for Ask Susan. Yep.
Yeah. So the July call is about you and success. So that's what the call will be about, and it's about. It says here, have you decided you have to be successful to be happy? And money follows joy, success follows happiness. Every time you say you're not ready, does that mean you're not ready for you to show up? So there's things about getting clear on what your big picture is, and allow the energy of that to inform you. As you connect more and more with creating your own daily successes, you will begin to see that success, like happiness, is an inside job. I love that, because it's not success in business, but it's basically success in life, just being successful in your life, being happy, being joyful, and what that means to you, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
So that's a live call in July, and then the second item is about you and money. So your relationship with money, which is a big one, obviously, and we talked a little bit about it here. But it's that's a big topic. A lot of people really, I think, tune into that one For sure. So that was a live call from earlier in the year. But what have you decided money is that you're not willing to be for you? And on this call, you learn how to apply the 5 elements of intimacy to money and clear all your judgments and conclusions about what money is or isn't. And you'll step into a greater understanding of what it means to be wealthy instead of rich. It's like, oh, I mean, right there, I'm looking at the 5 elements of intimacy to money. What is that? It's like, that's interesting. I'm not aware of that. So that's new. It's like, oh, I think I have issues there.
Well, if you're not, just quickly, if you're not willing to be intimate with money, can you allow it to procreate and reproduce?
No.
No. Would you be willing to be the sexualness that money truly is?
I'm taking a deep breath in when when you say that. It's like, oh, okay. Interesting. For me, that's a big topic, a hot button topic. So it could be for a lot of other people as well, right?
Absolutely. We've cherry-picked the best of all of these for your show because these are all hot button topics.
Yeah. And the next one is romancing your body, so that would be another good one for me. And then you in business, so for those of us, and here's a quick question, Susan. So it says you in business. Does that mean, for example, I'm an entrepreneur, I have a business, so does that mean business in that sense, or can it mean anything? Like, can it mean if, I don't know, because sometimes business is such a heavy word. As I say it, I was having a hard time saying the word heavy. It's like it can be a heavy word,
Well, and that's exactly what that specific. That's why we cherry picked that one for your audience, because how many people have decided that there's a heaviness around business? What if here's something to play with? What if just you by you choosing to be alive has to do with the business of being you?
Yes. I like that. I must have read that somewhere today.
Right?
And that's why it was like triggering something in me. It's like, maybe it was something you wrote, and I know I was reading something about your stuff, so it's like maybe that's where I heard it or read about it, because it was something was.
How's it getting better?
Niggling at me, it's like business. It doesn't always mean the business, like a concrete structure business or brick and mortar business or, yeah. So, okay, thank you.
And what if people have bought that business has to do with busyness. I'm so busy creating my business. Well, what if business, again, money follows joy? What if what if you could create the joy of business? What would that look like to you?
Yeah, and it's really interesting, Susan. A couple of months ago, I was giving off the energy of, my God, I'm so busy all the time. I don't have time for this, that, and the other thing. And last week, I started actually writing down everything I do in the day, and I realized, oh my goodness, I've just been busy. Like I haven't really, I don't really spend all that much time. It's like I was creating this busyness, but I'm not really that busy. I really do have more time for other things that I would like to do. It's like that was so liberating. It's like, oh, I was doing a lot of busy work. It's like, oh.
Well, yeah, and how many of us like to make ourselves busy by being busy?
So it's like,
and who do you buy that from? How many people do you know say, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh, I've been working so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a way to anchor themselves to this reality, because you're an infinite being with infinite capacities to create and generate. So what would that look like to actually play with that? And that's where acknowledgement comes in. Wow, look what I created today. What did I add? Everything that I haven't been willing to acknowledge that I've added to my business, to my money flows today, letting it go. Pot and puck everywhere I've been refusing money today. Everywhere I've been refusing business today. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
so we don't play with a lot of these tools.
Oh yeah, and and that's the thing. It's about being aware of these tools first of all, and then choosing to use them on a daily basis or regular basis, or as you require them. And so it brought me so much freedom when I realized that, I really do have more time and I'm not really as busy. So the stress level really went away, really quick. It's like, it was so light. I felt so much better and so much lighter. It's like, oh, this is good. So it's like, I like this, you know. So it's like a totally different energy when you realize,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. How does it get better than this? So it's like, ooh, you know, sometimes people talk about feeling juicy, and you know, it's like it really it made me, it gave me so much more possibility now. It's like I have so much more time to do other fun stuff that I'd like to do. It's like this is fantastic. You know, it's like, how does it get better than this? Like, why? What else is possible here? What else do I want to create? What else would be joyful for me to create? You know, and if more and more people could feel like that, can you imagine what we all could create on this planet that would be joyful? And you know, we could spread happiness, you know, around the world, you know, more abundantly and exponentially, and you know, it'd be wow, just the possibilities.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so these are some of the tools in the package that Susan is offering for us. And for those of you who are on the live webcast page, you can go to, just click on Speaker Special Offer. If you're on the phone, you can go to awakentohappinessnow.com/heart4. That's HART 4. So that's awakentohappinessnow.com/heart, HART 4. Susan, this has been a wonderful package. Like I said, it's you might see me on some of these live calls, you know, in July, because yeah, I could definitely use some more awareness and choice in my life.
Well, thank you so much. And you know what? The thing is, like, you could ask yourself, if I chose to listen to these, if I chose to actually play with these tools, because I believe that every one of these that we've cherry-picked you also comes with clearings.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So within each one that we've picked for you, you have the clearings, the clearing loop that goes with them. So you're not only getting the classes, you're getting a bonus of the clearing loops that go with them. That's something that, as if it's a meditation or just walking in the woods listening to these clearings, each time you listen to them, they go deeper and deeper. So you've got these amazing package that we put together for you, where we've cherry-picked the best of what we're creating and the loops, and you get to be on an Ask Susan live call in July. How does it get any better than that?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And this also comes with a PDF of all the clearings as well. From what I remember, written
I didn't even know. So they're getting the live call, the clearings, and written. The clearings
yes.
Written. Wow. Yep. How does it get any better than that?
So then this way
I might even get it myself.
They have 3 different ways of incorporating, you know, this information into their being. Because some people, you know, like you said, some people like to listen, some people like to read, and some people, you know, can listen to it on a loop overnight and just let it play, you know, all night long, and that will also work as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a quick question. I know we have to go, but here's a quick question. So, with access tools and access clearings and so on, does it require a belief that even though I'm not hearing it, it's still working?
No.
No.
No. No.
Okay.
No. No. There's no belief is something that ties you into this reality, because if you have a belief, you have to judge it. Am I doing it right or wrong? That's where the clearing statement comes in. Is this good or bad? No, you actually have to be willing to. So, truth, are you willing to ask for change? Are you asking for more to show up in your life? Are you curious about what else is possible? That's all that's required.
Yeah.
That's
true. Wonderful.
The willingness to step into the curiosity of actually who you truly be, and allow that to inform you. What else is possible?
How does it get any better than that? That's wonderful. Thank you, Susan. This has been wonderful. You know,
Thank you.
I'm glad that we got through that rainstorm.
Me too. Thank you, universe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I knew it would.
Thank you, Shefali. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. Have a great time in Vermont, and have a great time in Amsterdam. I think you're going next. Wonderful world traveler. I love it. Good for you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. Safe travels.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great night, and continue to live a life filled with joy, peace, love, and abundance and happiness. Good night.